Hello everyone, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we're returning to our Let's Play series of Ultimate General Civil War. We're playing as the Confederacy this time around, and we are on to part 9, I believe it is, of our streaming series here. Thus far, we've fought 6 battles and won every single one, from the Potomac Fort entry battle to the first minor battle of Newport News, the first major battle of Bull Run, a couple of other minor battles, and then the major battle of Shiloh, which we fought in our last video. In that battle, we inflicted about 24,000 casualties on the enemy. We did lose about 11,000 of our own, but between that and our reinforcements that we got for winning the battle, we've been able to build our first corps back out. So we have 1 corps currently in our force that we carry from battle to battle. We've built it out to its max size currently at our current army organization level. It's 22,000 infantry, 1,100 artillerymen, and 1,250 cavalrymen. We have equipped the 1st Division entirely with rifled weapons. So we've got the Enfield rifled musket in the first 2 brigades, the Stonewall and the Enfield Brigade. And then we have Lorenz rifled muskets, which are an Austrian import in both the Texas Brigade and the Lorenz Brigade. I've also equipped the 2nd Division entirely with Southern-made 1841 Mississippi rifles. They don't have the same reloading speed that either the Lorenz or the Enfield have, but they do have good long-range weaponry, and they're actually a little bit better at melee than some of the other weapons as well. Our 3rd Division is still all smoothbore weapons, the Springfield M1842s, equipped with their famous buck and ball. We also have a brigade of cavalry in that 3rd Division and an artillery battery. So we have 3 artillery batteries, 2 cavalry brigades, and the traditional 11 infantry brigades, if my rough math is correct there. We do have 12,000 recruits, which we could transfer into a new corps if we wanted to, but right now we don't have a ton of money, and frankly, the next 3 battles only allow you to bring 1 corps, not even a full corps, to the field, so it would be kind of superfluous to build a 2nd corps at this moment. Really, the only benefit would be to give those guys a little bit of experience before the major battle of Gaines's Mill, but with that being said, I don't want to sell off, we don't have any money here to equip these new troops. We could give them some of these 1842s, which we have in our arsenal. The problem is we need money to raise officers, so we have a corps commander in Albert Sidney Johnston who's available, and we have a couple of brigade commanders available, but we need to pay money for at least 1 division commander, and I don't want to sell off weapons to free up money to do that. So with that being said, guys, we're going to go ahead and jump into our first battle of the night. It's going to be the Battle of First Winchester, which historically was the beginning of Jackson's Valley campaign, that famous campaign which made General Stonewall Jackson a famous household name throughout the Confederacy and the Union during the Civil War. The battle we're going to be fighting is the Battle of First Winchester. We currently have 27 reputation, which we can use to equip our forces with better weapons, get a little bit of extra money, get a few extra recruits. So that's kind of low, but we had used that to buy some of those Enfield weapons that we had just equipped our forces with. We'll get 4 reputation back if we win. We'll lose 9 if we lose, so winning is really important. If this ever drops to 0, you get fired, but you start getting some morale penalties anytime it drops below, I want to say around 20. You start having some pretty severe morale penalties. Right now there's no morale effect. If we get this up higher, we could get a morale bonus, but frankly the extra weaponry is more valuable than the penalty would be. So we'll go ahead and choose First Winchester. And you can see here the Battle of First Winchester, 25 May 1862. We've decided to launch offensive operations on the Union forces in the Shenandoah Valley, preventing them from reinforcing their offensive against Richmond. We must use a bold strategy by employing audacity and rapid, unpredictable movements on the whole valley. Therefore, you'll use a small, flexible force. The rest of your army will take positions at the outskirts of our capital. This is just sort of a description explaining what's going on in the grand scheme of things. You don't really pick which units sit in front of Richmond and which units participate in this battle. You do only get 8 brigades that you can bring to this particular fight, or 8 units to this fight, but you choose that in the next screen. The Union commander of the Department of the Shenandoah, Major General Nathan P. Banks, is attempting to reorganize his army at Winchester and defend the town. Move swiftly and attack the Union force. Okay, so here we go. We've got the 1st Corps. We're going to go ahead and assign it. You can see the 1st Corps consists of 16 brigades, so we're only going to be able to bring about half of our force to the battle. The enemy, we don't know how many men they have. We don't have a high enough reconnaissance level for our officer to understand what their corps are, divisions, brigades, soldiers, although my assumption is, since our force is so small, they're relatively small as well. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and hit start, and you can see here this gives us an immediate map of what's going on. It seems the Federals decided to give battle and deployed around the town of Winchester. Our scouts report that General Banks has no more than 4 brigades supported by artillery and light units. Okay, so relatively small. You have at your disposal a significant force to crush the Federal Army and capture the city. Okay, the enemy is outnumbered, so you need to prevail on the field. Bring us victory and inflict at least 30% more casualties to the enemy. Okay, so one of our objectives here, if we click up here, we can see in order to win, we need to inflict 10% more casualties on them than they on us. In order to win a victory, we need to hold Winchester. So apparently the casualties are more in line with a draw, I guess? I'm not quite sure. But with that being said, we've got to move down here and take this town. We're going to have to attack across some open ground. Let's do this. I don't want all of my best brigades on this field because their casualties are more expensive to replace because of their weaponry. We're going to go ahead and take Forest. We're going to put them out right. We're going to have our 3-inch ordnance rifles, which are really good for long-range work. And then we'll have, obviously, our supply wagon. I'm trying to think if cavalry is really ideal for this fight, but I think we're going to have 2 cavalry brigades. Both of our brigades are ideal for melee combat. We're going to go ahead and deploy mostly our 3rd Division troops, the guys with the bad weapons, because we've got a whole bunch of those in reserve, so if we do lose a bunch of casualties, they're really cheap to replace. They're also not experienced, so we can replace them really easily. So we're going to move the 3 brigades from that division in, and then we're going to go ahead and bring in 2 brigades from Doles' 2nd Division, or the Alabama Brigade and Doles' rifles. These guys are equipped with M1841 Mississippi rifles. Okay, so let's go ahead. We'll start the battle. We'll go ahead and hit pause. We can see here we've already spotted some enemy skirmishers, so we're going to send the cavalry down on them, and then we're going to move the rest of these infantry brigades just kind of up straight across this open ground. I'm assuming there will be some enemy troops out here in the front that will pose a bit of a challenge. Move these 2 rifled brigades west. I'm going to try and clear these woods with Stuart's cavalry. So if I click and drag, we'll clear the woods with the cavalry. We'll have Forrest move forward to charge these skirmishers, hopefully in melee combat, wipe them out as a threat. It'll prevent them from harassing our troops as we move up. So skirmishers are loosely formed troops. They're not in a solid shoulder-to-shoulder line. They're kind of like out front men. They're sharpshooters or things like that that'll slow you down. We could deploy skirmishers off our own force, but cavalry is really effective at driving those kind of guys back. So we'll use Forrest, who has some really crack troops. You can see here they're incredibly strong. You know, if we compare them with Arnold, these guys, their stats are all far on the left. You can see Stuart's men all the way on the right. They're a 2-star brigade right now. They could be a 3-star brigade with a little bit more experience. So we'll go ahead and do that, and we'll just get started here. We'll have our artillery fire on the skirmishers. Actually, they're already in range of Vinton's brigade. You can see they're already running. I'll give the order to force men to charge them as they retreat through the open. That'll actually make them an even bigger sitting duck. We'll kind of move these guys up. You can see Stuart's clearing these woods. We don't spot anything. Forrest is riding these skirmishers down. You can see their numbers are just evaporating in front of him. As long as he doesn't get run into other enemy infantry, that'll be great. Awesome, and we captured them, so that's good. So Forrest has obviously done his job, wiping out 1 enemy skirmisher unit. Another one was in the open field there. They're already retreating in front of our forces. So we'll keep Forrest back a little bit. I don't want to overextend him. I'm assuming there's some infantry in these woods, so we'll find out shortly enough. Bring these guys down here. Moving across open fields should be relatively easy. More skirmishers here. I'm going to have Stuart charge these guys. If he's going to be able to see them ever. So Stuart got hit by 2 volleys by these skirmishers, but they're retreating back through the open again, so they should be sitting ducks. Move Forrest forward as well. The only concern here is, again, they're retreating to the woods, so they may be well running into enemy infantry, so we need to be ready to pull them back in the event. Yep, okay. Pull back, Stuart. He pulls back before he gets in range of those 2,900 men. And these guys are all taking their time, but they're coming up here. Let's bring our commander forward. He gives a morale bonus. And we'll see if Forrest can close the range in time. A nice volley there by Reed in support. Bring the 3-inchers up. We'll have the skirmishers withdraw off the map. You can actually see here the enemy has quite a few men in this wooded terrain. Let's go ahead and fall back, actually. I don't want to engage them quite yet. More skirmishers captured. Awesome. I want to get all of my troops in place before I start to attack them. So I'm going to bring Reed over here on the flank. We'll move Vinton up here to the front. Arnold will move to the front. The Alabama Brigade's going to swing wide as well, and Doles' rifles will advance. So far we're accomplishing our 10% casualties on the enemy, largely because we wiped out 2 of their skirmisher units, which are now withdrawing off the map. Let's actually swing our cavalry up around the flank, because if there's enemy artillery in the open, I want to charge them as well. Let's pull these guys off the map. Hey. So we're taking our time. We're being deliberate here. We need to make it to the town in the next 2 hours, which isn't that much time, but we're getting ready to get into formation. Alright, bring these rifles back. We're getting a little bit too far forward. Enemy does have a lot of artillery, it seems like. Alright, bring Reed up this way. Alabama swing wide. Doles will swing this way. Flank could be exposed to these woods, but I'm hoping to crush the 2 brigades we saw here just in sort of an envelopment. See how this all plays out. Okay. Alright, Alabama Brigade, why don't you guys get moving a little bit? I don't want to waste too much more time. You can see here the enemy does still have more skirmishers. They've got quite a few, actually. Alright, those skirmishers should be dead now that our cavalry's getting in there, and the Alabama Brigade's almost into position. So we're kind of scooping up these individual units here that are guarding the Federal front and flanks. And let's move the Alabama Brigade in here. Surprised these skirmishers are holding out as well as they are. Move Reed forward, Vinton forward, Arnold forward, and Doles forward. Alright, so these guys are captured. Awesome. Our cavalry is going to go after the artillery now. I don't think we can melee them, though. Maybe we can. Looks like they're closing with that battery and dealing at pretty devastating blows. Let's do this. We're going to get these guys involved in melee combat, because once they're involved in melee combat, the enemy is not able to fire. They can't reload, basically. So any units behind ours, these guys are behind our meleeing guys, these guys can pour volleys into the enemy. Alright, so that enemy artillery battery was destroyed. Now we can move our cavalry in behind these enemy infantry units. And to devastate them with fire from the flanks and rear. Casualties are still in our favor. Looks like Arnold's brigade's retreating. Alright, Collins is retreating, so we've driven him back. Again, we lost some heavy casualties, but we drove these guys back at least. Move artillery up. The 2 meleeing brigades did lose not insignificant casualties. Our cavalry's charging these guys back. Alright, so we'll advance now. Now we just need to advance on the town here. I don't know how much I want to let Forrest or Stewart kind of pursue here, because they're starting to get into really defensible terrain. The town is very hard to attack, and cavalry in that kind of terrain certainly doesn't fight as well. Hey, Newhauser. How's it going? Alright, so we'll advance. But again, as long as we can kind of keep these guys on the run, at the end of the day, that's the objective. We need to get into the town, because you can see here we got really good cover for our infantry in the town. Okay. Shit. Dole's just got hit in the flank. Arnold, shift this way. Alright, send some skirmishers out. Go take those wagons. Yikes. Caught me by surprise. They flanked the flanker. Right, we'll withdraw the cavalry from there as well. All these guys are exhausted. Stuart, get the fuck out of there. I told you to withdraw. Well, this isn't going well. Still inflicted more casualties on them, though. That's positive, I suppose. The wagons out of there. And the artillery's getting hit. Great! Well, we have the objective. We just have to hold it for 37 minutes, which seems unlikely at this point. God damn it. Good. Okay, we recaptured our wagon. They were surrendered, and then they were recaptured. And the 3-inch ordnance rifles may be dead. Come on, Dole. Stop retreating. Back up here. Forrest, you're too valuable to die. Stuart, you too, actually. Alright, well, we got way overextended. Now I'm getting my command shot to pieces. Let's see if we can charge their supplies. We got 2 brigades and pretty good cover here in the woods. At least we got that going for us. Alabama Brigade is in a rough spot, but they've got perfect cover in town here, so they are being charged by quite an excess of enemy strength. But again, we just need to hold for a few more minutes, guys. Donnelly must have good cover where he's at, because he's not losing much. Where did our artillery retreat to? Oh, they're there. They lost more than half their number. Three brigades here in good cover. Donnelly can charge into Reed, but he's going to get hit by 2 brigades volleys as he does that, so you can see he's already routing. The enemy cavalry's in our rear. Vinton's really got to hold his ground, which he's doing so far. Let's get Forrest after these guys. Alabama's retreating. Why is it clicking way up there? I'm not aiming at you guys at all. What the fuck? I'm not even clicking anywhere remotely over there. Look at that. I'm clicking here and it's... I've never seen this issue before. Those guys are reloading really slowly. Alright, so the Alabama Brigade's still kind of keeping the enemy honest. It looks like we're going to win this thing. It's not going to be a pretty fight. It's not going to be what I hoped. But it does look like the enemy doesn't have the time or the cohesion, if you will, to push us back. They've got 8 minutes. They've got a couple of brigades coming in here on our rear of it. But I think we're going to be okay. There we go, routing the skirmishers, so now all Vinton has to do is turn to face Collins. Gordon can do the same. 3 more minutes, I think, or 4 more minutes. Our cavalry really did their job. Over 1,100 casualties inflicted. Some, what, 500 received? Our infantry didn't do as well. I'm glad I didn't bring my Enfields to play, although maybe it would have been a more decisive advantage for us if we had. So we've clicked the capture Winchester button. Apparently we've got to wait another 20 minutes, so I guess I was wrong about that. Could have sworn the contested piece. Sometimes the contested, that rule, will cause the battle to end early, but it doesn't look like it will in this case, so that's just grand. But now that Gordon has left the Alabama Brigade on his flank, we can bring Doles' rifles in. Hopefully they can hold. I'm going to bring my commander down here to try and inspire these troops. Let's see, we may lose the objective, but I don't think if we lose it, we'll lose it for long. Alright, we drove their cavalry off. Skirmishers forward. Bring Arnold up. I just wanted you to fire a volley at these guys. I don't want you to melee them. Shit. Retreat. I don't want you in that battle. Stuart. Get the fuck out of there. Alright, so we got 15 more minutes. We gotta hang on. Oh, shit. Brotherhood's cavalry came in to try and capture our own wagons in the rear, I guess. This is a really weird engagement. Broadhead, sorry. Fortunately, we had Forrest up there. And he can drive them back, I'm sure. Okay, 10 more minutes. Let's see if the enemy launches a melee party here. Lost about 23% of our force, really heavy casualties. We'll bring our own horsemen up here, provide some rear cover for us. Despite our own casualties, it looks like everybody but Doles and Arnold have inflicted more on the enemy than they've suffered, and most of them aren't even close. So that's a positive. 5 minutes left. But still, 1-to-1 or even close to 1-to-1 casualties are not what we want. Not in this game. Especially as the Confederates. If you're on the Union, you can absorb that because you get a lot more replacements. Okay. Gordon's retreating, it looks like. I don't know if broken may be the wrong word, but we've blunted the Federal flank. And there you go. Victory. So we lost 2,100 casualties. Not as many as I thought. We did lose 8 guns, though. That was substantial. 500 cavalry. The enemy lost over 3,000. If you include the missing and the cavalry, they lost over 4,000. So still a victory. A nice victory there. Not as clean as it could have been. Our goods that we captured, well, we captured 4,500 supplies from their wagon. We captured a few more Sharps 1855s. We rescued some of our own Mississippis and Springfields. About half of our casualties, we replenished their losses. We also captured 12 enemy 12-pound howitzers, which we've got over 25 of those. And we rescued 4 of the ordnance rifles, so we rescued about half. We lost 8. We rescued 4. Captured some Harper's Ferries, some Palmettos, and some Pattern Enfields. The Enfields will be nice, just not a lot of them. So overall, our units, well, Gordon's brigade with the Union was their best brigade, but you can see here the vast majority of the top-performing brigades were all our own, specifically our cavalry. And you can see here both Brandon Moore and Marion Arnold, 2 lieutenant colonels, who were promoted to full colonel based on their performance. So a victory. The Homeland Defense Cross. So we win a little award. We gain a career point. We get 4,700 replacements. So we get more than double the casualties we lost back as replacements. We also get an additional 1,000 recruits because of the prisoners we captured. So that means 5,700 troops. Only $70,000 though, so we'll see if we've got enough money to replace our losses. We're going to go ahead and increase our 1 career point. We'll assign it to politics. We're trying to max this out at 10 as quick as possible so we can shift and focus on other things. Our reputation bumped up from 27 to 31. And yeah, there you have it. Let's see here. You can see here most of these brigades didn't participate. The Alabama Brigade did. It's only going to cost 6,000 if we want to go with veterans. Rookies are free. There's a really small difference there if we go with rookie replacements. We're going to do that. Doles' rifles. Veterans would be a lot more expensive. Again, only a marginal hit for going with rookies as our replacements. You can see the 3-inch rifles lost 8 guns. We've got 4 in the armory and 1 in the shop, so we can build these guys back up to 13. They lose a lot of experience if we go with rookies, so we'll spend the 18,000 to keep these guys as veterans. It's still not a full battery, but those rifles, in my opinion, are good weapons. I think they undervalue these guns in this game. I think these guns should be a little bit more powerful. Let's see here. And then these brigades were all relatively inexperienced in the first place. They all have smooth bores. So we're just going to keep them all as rookies. You can see they actually gained quite a bit of experience, though, in this fight. So I'm pretty happy with the result there. Let's do this. Let's go with about 150 veterans. Let's get them up to 550 men with veteran replacements. Yes, and 12 grand to do that, and then we'll go 200 rookies to kind of help offset some of the rookie replacements, because Stewart's brigade did lose a lot. Force Brigade, very high quality unit, was at 500. It has 181 men it needs to replace. It would cost that would be cost prohibitive to use veterans here, but it's, let's see, can we do 400 maybe? So we'll do maybe 81 veterans, which only costs us 17. That's still a lot of money. It's half of our remaining money. And then the remainder, so 81 veterans and 100 rookies. Still a good unit, although it's a little bit weaker than it was before. And there you have it. We've got about $12,000 left. We have 15,000 recruits, though, so we need to try and start building that monetary reserve. Now, if we win the next 2 battles, we'll have enough money that we could use reputation to buy $75,000 extra in cash. So I think that's what we'll think about doing, because we're going to need to build a second corps out. We're going to have the manpower. It's just going to be an issue of having the money to do it. We could sell some weapons, like these Harper's Ferries, for example. There's none available in stock. We could sell them for 4,000. We don't need the weapons quite yet, so we'll hold off on that. I am going to sell the Sharps, just because I don't really use Sharps ever in any of my games, and if I was going to build some skirmishers, I would go with Colt M1855s. So we'll sell those and get about $3,000. You can see here we've got 31 howitzers in reserve. We could make a pretty penny by selling those, but when we build that second corps, it'll be nice to have a full battery of 6-pounders and 12-pounders. Actually, almost 2 full batteries of 12-pounders for free, so that'll be useful. But there we are. We've built our strength back. We've still got about 3,000 more troops here than we had before the last fight. We've got about $15,000 more than we had before the last fight. So let's go ahead and jump back in here. You can see there's a captured correspondence, basically just confirming we won that battle. And Cross Keys is the next engagement, which you can see, I'm assuming will be a little bit more bloody because we get more replacements if we win this battle. Alright everybody, and that'll do it for this episode of Ultimate General Civil War. We are into the Peninsula Campaign, we've won the Battle of First Winchester, and we're moving on to the Battle of Cross Keys, the second battle in these 3 preliminary battles to the Peninsula Campaign, which will culminate in Gaines's Mill and follow up with the Battle of Malvern Hill. But with that being said, the Confederacy is still unvanquished. We're still having success. We're slowly building up our force, both in experience and in quantity, and we'll see how things play out in the next video. But again, with that being said, guys, I hope you've all enjoyed this video and this series to this part, or to this point. Until next time, guys, though, this is the Historical Gamer saying thank you very much for watching, and I'm out.